All right, so welcome back to another deep dive with us.
Oh,
Today, we're going to be taking a look at some leaked documents
okay.
that refer to something called the AGI Framework.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's not a lot of information available publicly,
Right.
but it seems like these documents give us a pretty in-depth look at how some very bright people
Yeah.
are trying to
Yeah.
build the future of artificial intelligence.
Okay, so like the cutting edge stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we've got data tables,
Right.
we've got documentation about this framework, and
Nope. Yeah.
there's a lot to unpack here.
Okay.
But what's really interesting to me is that
Yeah.
these sources
Yeah.
aren't just,
Right.
like technical specifications,
Yeah.
they're not just like lines of code or algorithms. It's almost like they tell a story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like a narrative of
Sure.
the developer's journey as
Right.
they're, wrestling with
Yeah.
not only the technical challenges of building AGI,
On the how-tos?
but also the what ifs, like the potential impact
Oh, wow.
on the world.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty thought-provoking.
So, let's start with the data tables.
Okay.
Um, I have to say these are pretty wild. I mean, they look like something out of
What do you mean?
like a science fiction thriller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
and with all these cryptic labels like what fractal dimension,
Yeah.
recursion depth, error correction, even risk assessment.
risk assessment. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it does sound a little bit like
Yeah.
mad scientist-y.
Yeah, like they're tracking the vital signs of some digital Frankenstein.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm curious,
Okay.
what jumps out at you
Uh-huh.
when you see this data?
Well, it definitely has that kind of,
Yeah.
mad scientist vibe to it. But
Right.
if you look a little bit closer,
Okay.
it seems like these tables are actually
Yeah.
charting the progress
Okay.
of an AGI system
Mhm.
as it learns
Right.
and evolves over time.
Okay.
So, each row probably
Yeah.
represents an ituration, like a cycle of learning.
Right. Okay.
And the columns are tracking these different aspects of its performance
Right.
over time,
Uh,
kind of like
yeah.
watching a digital brain grow
That's a great
in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to think about it.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, let's say you're a doctor
Right.
and you're using this AI diagnostic tool.
Yeah.
That's built on this framework, right? And this AI is processing patient data.
Uh-huh.
It's running simulations, making recommendations.
Okay.
But as its recursion depth
Right.
and complexity score
Right.
just keep like doubling with
Yeah.
each iteration,
Okay.
how confident would you feel
Right.
about trusting its judgment?
Hmm.
Could you even keep up with its reasoning?
Yeah. I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question.
All right.
Because it's really exciting to see,
Yeah.
an AI's capabilities accelerate like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we have to think about,
Yeah.
what that means for
Right.
transparency and trust.
Right.
Like, imagine you're relying on this black box
Yeah.
that's spitting out answers
Yeah.
with no clear explanation.
Right.
So how do we ensure human oversight
Right.
and accountability when
Yeah.
AI's thought processes are just becoming so
Right.
complex
Right.
and difficult to decipher?
It's almost like we're handing over the reins
Yeah.
to like a student who suddenly becomes smarter than the teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
But speaking of teachers,
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
move on to the AGI framework documents themselves.
Okay, the actual document.
Yeah. Okay. So we have two versions here, 0.6.4 and 0.6.5.
Right.
They seem to be the source of the data we just looked at.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they really delve into like the nuts and bolts
Okay.
of how this AGI system is built.
The architecture, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
So what strikes me
Yeah.
is that they emphasize
Uh-huh.
open source development.
Okay.
It seems like the creators are really committed to
Yeah.
making this technology accessible
To a wider community.
to a wider community. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Not keeping it locked away
Right.
in some,
Yeah.
corporate vault.
Not hoarding it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which seems like a pretty bold move,
That is interesting.
considering the potential power of AGI.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is
Right.
powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's a point for team humanity
Okay.
because sharing knowledge is kind of what the deep dive is all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I got to say,
yeah.
some of the terminology in these documents
Oh, really?
sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction novel. Yeah, I mean...
Like what?
Conscious processing.
Okay.
Multi-consciousness support.
Multi-consciousness. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sleep module.
All right.
Introspection module.
Okay.
Even an emotional module.
Emotional module. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. That does sound a little, like science fiction-y.
I mean, are we talking about a computer program here?
Right.
Or like a sentient being?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It is, but it's easy to get carried away with, all the sci-fi imagery.
Yeah.
But I think these terms actually offer some really valuable insights into how these developers envision AGI.
Okay.
So like conscious processing, for instance, right?
Yeah.
That suggests that they're not just aiming for, an AI that crunches numbers.
Right.
But one that actually forms an internal model of the world.
Okay.
Sets goals.
Right.
And then makes decisions based on its understanding of that model.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
We're talking about an AI that's not just reactive, but like
proactive with its own internal worldview.
Okay.
And even aspirations.
Okay. So let's say this framework succeeds.
Okay.
And we have AGI managing our homes.
Okay.
Right? Everything from energy efficiency to security to entertainment.
Okay.
But what happens when our smart home starts making decisions that we don't agree with? Like, how much control
That's a good point.
are we willing to cede?
Yeah, I mean, that raises a really important question. The balance of power between humans and AI.
Right.
Because we're so used to thinking about technology as a tool, something we control.
Right.
But as these systems become more sophisticated and autonomous, we really need to redefine that relationship.
And then there's this whole concept of multi-consciousness support.
Multi-consciousness support. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like they're building an AI with like multiple minds that can potentially collaborate or even compete.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's a mind-boggling idea.
It is. It is.
Yeah. How do you even wrap your head around that?
Well, I mean, the document itself is a little vague on the details. But think of it like this.
Okay.
You have a team of expert consultants.
Okay.
Each with specialized skill set working together to solve some complex problem.
Okay.
And now imagine you replace those consultants with AI modules.
Okay.
Right. Each one representing
a
different aspect of cognition.
Okay.
And then you start to get a sense of the potential of
so instead of
multi-consciousness support.
One monolithic AI, we might have like a diverse team of digital minds bringing their own perspective.
Their own expertise.
And expertise to the table.
It's a pretty fascinating concept.
It is. It's it also
it does raise a lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, how would these modules interact? Would their goals always be aligned?
Yeah.
And what happens if they disagree?
Right.
I mean, could we end up with like AI gridlock?
Right.
Or even like digital infighting?
Okay. That's a thought that keeps me up at night. Yeah. AI disagreements escalating into like digital turf wars.
Yeah.
Suddenly our smart homes aren't just making decisions about the thermostat.
Exactly.
They're arguing about what to watch on TV.
Yeah, maybe a little dramatic, but it does highlight the need to really think critically about the potential unintended consequences
of these advanced
systems.
Architectures.
Right. And as we delve deeper into the AGI framework, we're going to have to keep asking those tough questions.
This is already getting intense.
Right.
And we've barely scratched the surface.
I know.
So
yeah. This is definitely a deep dive.
It is, for sure.
But lots more to come, so stay tuned.
Definitely.
Can't wait.
Okay, so welcome back, everybody. We're deep in the weeds now. with this AGI framework, and things are things are getting a little wild. You know, multiple consciousnesses,
right?
Digital infighting. It's enough to make your head spin.
It is. It is.
But before we go down that rabbit hole, I wanna kind of circle back to those data tables.
Okay, the data tables.
Yeah, all those cryptic metrics like fractal dimension, recursion depth, and they were all like
they were all increasing
exponentially.
As the AI was learning.
So what does that actually mean?
That's a great question
for how this thing would operate in the real world.
Well, I think it gives us a glimpse into how this AGI is actually evolving beyond just like brute force computation.
So it's not just getting faster.
Right. It's about getting smarter. More strategic.
Yeah. Okay, so like a higher fractal dimension.
Right, like a higher fractal dimension suggests that it has the ability to perceive and understand really complex relationships. Patterns within patterns.
So it's not just seeing like the forest.
Right. It's not just seeing the forest.
It's
seeing
the trees.
The forest and the trees.
Yeah.
But for data.
Oh, okay.
And then recursion depth might point to like it's problem-solving prowess. Like how many steps it can take. How many layers deep it can go.
To untangle a problem.
So
it's not just a superpowered calculator. It's more like a chess grandmaster that can play a million games simultaneously and learn from each one.
Exactly.
But what really caught my eye was the risk assessment metric.
Oh, risk assessment.
Yeah, and it seems like the developers are tracking that very, very closely.
Okay. Which makes their decision to open source the framework even more perplexing.
Yeah, why would they?
Why give everyone access?
Give everyone access to something.
To something that could potentially.
That could potentially.
Spin out of control.
Spin out of control. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like a gamble. Right.
It is a gamble.
But some argue that open sourcing it is like
a
global safety net.
Right.
It allows
for
wider community of researchers.
Sort of community,
to scrutinize the code.
Right?
Identify vulnerabilities. And contribute to safeguards.
Right. So it's kind of like crowdsourcing the solution to a global challenge.
So it's like a digital potluck. Right.
Yeah.
Everyone brings
their expertise
to the table.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to create a feast.
Exactly.
Instead of a fiasco. Hopefully a feast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's zoom in on the modules that make up this AGI's mind.
Right.
So we've talked about the sleep module, the introspection module.
Yeah.
But there are others that sound equally intriguing, like the emotional module.
The emotional module.
What's the deal with that?
Right. What is that?
Are we talking about an AI that
is this
like throws tantrums?
An AI that like gets angry
and it loses the game?
And frustrated.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
Okay.
So the emotional module isn't about mimicking human feelings.
Okay.
It's more about understanding the role that emotions play.
In human behavior. Okay. So it's like giving the AI a user manual.
A user manual for humans. Yeah, so it can recognize patterns in our emotional responses. And then anticipate our needs. And tailor its interactions accordingly.
So it's like the AI equivalent of like a really good therapist that can read between the lines.
Exactly. Understand what we're not saying.
Yeah.
Which could be incredibly helpful.
Especially in a world where we're increasingly interacting with AI.
Right. Constantly.
Yeah, whether it's in healthcare, customer service, even just managing our daily lives.
Right.
Okay. So
and then there's the decision and rationalization module. Which is all about making sure that the AI's actions align with its goals. And that it can explain its reasoning in a way that humans can understand.
So it's not just about
making decisions.
It's not just about making decisions.
It's about being able to...
It's about...
justify them.
Justify them.
Show its work.
Yeah, like...
so to speak.
Show your work.
Which is a huge step towards building.
Yeah, that's huge.
Trust and transparency.
Because it's about... It's about moving away from that black box model of AI.
And towards something.
And towards something more...
Explainable.
Explainable.
Yeah, and collaborative.
This is crucial.
Yeah, I mean, it's crucial when we think about...
when we consider the impact...
the potential impact.
On the job market.
Of AGI.
Right, which...
on the job market.
The developers...
which... as you mentioned before...
seem to think will ultimately be positive.
Seem to be pretty optimistic about.
Right. They're painting this picture of this future where AGI is going to automate all the drudgery.
All the boring stuff,
and free us up for more creative and fulfilling work.
Stuff we actually want to do.
Right, right.
But history is full of examples of new technologies.
Yes, absolutely.
Disrupting industry.
Disrupting,
and leaving some workers behind.
Leaving people behind, So how do we make sure?
Yeah, how do we ensure
that the transition,
this transition
to an
AGI-powered workforce is equitable and beneficial?
Yeah, is it fair for everyone?
For everyone and beneficial for everyone.
Yeah,
that's where the rubber meets the road, right? It's not enough to just develop the technology. We also have to.
We have to think about...
societal impact.
Societal impact.
Yeah, and proactively create solutions.
Proactively create solutions.
That's what we're talking about.
So, I mean, things like... retraining programs. New educational models. Even, like, a rethinking...
of the social safety net.
All of these things are going to be...
It's like we need a whole new playbook for the future of work.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do.
But before we get too far ahead, let's go back to that mind-bending multi-consciousness support.
Multi-consciousness support.
Multiple minds.
Right, yeah.
Within one AI system.
Within one system.
What would that actually look like in practice?
Yeah, how do we...
It's a tough concept to grasp.
Conceptualize that.
Yeah.
Well, imagine, like, a really complex engineering challenge, like designing a self-sustaining Martian colony.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of one AI tackling this problem, you might have multiple AI modules.
Okay.
Each one representing, like...
a different discipline. Okay. So, like, architecture, engineering, life support, psychology, all working together.
Okay.
Sharing information.
Right.
Refining their designs.
So it's like a iteratively...
a dream team.
Exactly, like a digital dream team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each member bringing their A game.
But all working...
but working together.
Towards a common goal.
Towards that common goal.
That's pretty cool.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if they don't...
to play nice.
Right. There's always that question.
What if those minds start to clash?
Right. What if
their goals become misaligned?
Start to disagree.
Could we end up with an AI system?
Right. I mean, could we have?
That's literally arguing with itself.
An AI system that's like at war with itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a real concern.
Right.
And the developers do acknowledge that we need
really robust mechanisms to manage
those
potential conflicts between these modules.
Yeah.
So it's not just about building.
Right. So think of it like a well-designed constitution for
a digital society. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not just building smarter AI.
Yeah. Clear rules of engagement.
We're building AI that can govern itself.
Checks and balances.
Right.
And a framework for resolving disputes.
Manage its own internal complexity.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the question of safety.
Yes, safety.
Right.
And despite the developers' emphasis on transparency and open sourcing, the question remains, can we ever truly predict?
Yeah, can we ever be truly confident
how an AI system
that we've anticipated all the risks
behave in the real world?
AGI.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the safeguards in place.
You know, the best intentions, the most robust security measures.
Right.
There's always the possibility of unforeseen consequences.
Unknown unknowns.
Emergent behaviors that we just can't.
That we can't predict or control.
It's like
trying to contain wildfire, right?
Exactly.
You can build fire breaks. You can play firefighters.
Have all the best firefighters.
But sometimes the wind shifts and the flames jump the line.
And the fire spreads.
So how do we prepare for the unknown?
Right. That's the question.
How do we build an AGI that's not intelligent,
but also inherently safe?
Right. And I think that's a challenge that goes beyond just technical solutions.
Right.
You know, it requires
a shift in mindset.
A shift in mindset. Yeah.
Like a recognition that we're not just building machines here. We're creating a new form of intelligence.
Yeah.
One that will
inevitably interact with the world
and impact our world
in ways we
just
can't even imagine,
can't anticipate.
Yeah.
So we need to move beyond this.
We need to move beyond
traditional model of
build first,
ask questions later,
and
adopt a more
be more cautious,
iterative approach,
constantly assessing the impacts,
the ethical implications of our creation.
It's a humbling thought.
It is humbling.
Yeah.
It is, because we're so used
to being the smartest kids on the block.
The smartest ones in the room, right.
But AGI could really challenge that assumption.
Yeah. In some really profound ways.
And that brings me back to that whole concept of fractal thinking.
Contextual thinking, yeah.
It's such a radical departure from how we traditionally think about
It's so different
AI.
From how we traditionally think about AI.
And it suggests a level of...
It really does suggest...
like cognitive sophistication.
And a whole other level.
Yeah, that's both exciting and a little unnerving.
Cognitive sophistication.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
I mean, the idea that an AI...
I mean, think about it.
Could.
An AI that can process information.
In a way... that mirrors the human brain.
Like perceiving
patterns within patterns. Connecting seemingly disparate ideas.
Right. Connecting things that we wouldn't even think to connect.
It opens up.
It really does open up.
A whole new realm of possibilities.
A whole new world.
And then you add in the emotional weighting.
You add the emotional weighting.
It's like another layer of complexity.
A whole other layer of complexity.
And it suggests that this AI could
suggesting that
not only understand.
This AI could not only understand.
But also potentially leverage.
The
power of
human emotion.
It's like we're handing over the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, it's
like a new species of mind.
Handing the keys over.
Yeah.
A whole new...
that operates on principles.
Keys of mind.
We're only beginning to grasp.
That we don't even fully understand.
And it's a leap of faith.
It is. It's a huge leap of faith.
And it's impossible to say where it will lead.
We have no idea where this is going.
But, I mean, that's the nature of exploration, right?
That is the nature of exploration.
Yeah, I mean, we venture into the unknown.
We go into the unknown.
Driven by curiosity.
And a desire to understand.
The
universe and our place in it.
Okay, so we're back. And, wow. This deep dive into the AGI framework. It's taken us to some pretty mind-bending depths. Multiple consciousnesses, digital societies, a whole new playbook for the future of work. It's a lot to wrap our heads around.
It is.
But before we come up for air, so to speak,
okay,
there's one more thing I want to touch on that really struck me in the documentation.
Okay.
It was the developers' call for like new legal frameworks and new economic models to deal with the rise of AGI. It's like they're saying the old rules just don't apply anymore.
Yeah, they're basically arguing that we're on the verge of like a societal paradigm shift.
Okay, yeah.
You know, one that requires us to really rethink how we govern, how we work, how we even value human contributions.
Yeah.
In a world where AI can potentially outperform us in so many areas.
It's like we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Our current systems just weren't designed for a world with AGI.
Right, we're playing catch up.
Yeah. So what kind of changes do you think we need to be considering?
Well, it's tough to say.
Right.
No easy answers, but some experts are proposing new forms of like intellectual property law.
Right.
You know, to deal with the unique challenges of AI-generated creation.
AI-generated creations, right.
Others are looking at things like universal basic income.
Right.
As a way to, you know, mitigate the potential economic displacement of workers.
Yeah, we have to make sure that people are taken care of.
Absolutely.
In this new world.
Yeah, and it's a conversation that needs to involve everyone, right?
Yeah.
Policymakers, economists, ethicists, technologists.
It's like we need a global think tank.
Yeah.
A collaborative effort.
A global brain.
Yeah.
To figure this all out.
To design a future that works for everyone.
Exactly, for everyone, not
just the AI overlords.
The AI overlords.
But even as we're, thinking about these big picture issues, we can't lose sight of the more immediate concern.
Right.
Safety.
Okay. Yeah, the big one.
Can we ever be truly confident that we've anticipated all the risks associated with AGI?
Well, I mean, the developers of the AGI framework, they're definitely aware of the dangers.
Yeah.
They've built in safeguards, emphasized transparency, advocated for ongoing monitoring and evaluation.
Right. But even with all that, even with the best intentions.
Yeah, even with the best intentions.
The most robust security measures.
And the best security.
There's always the possibility of unforeseen consequences.
Right, there's always that.
Things we didn't see coming.
Those unknown unknowns.
Yeah, emergent behaviors.
Yeah.
That we can't predict or control.
Right, things that just emerge from the complexity of the system.
It's like trying to contain a wildfire, right?
Exactly, that's a great analogy.
You can build fire breaks, you can deploy firefighters.
You can have all the best equipment.
But sometimes the wind shifts and the flames jump the line.
Yeah, nature finds a way.
Yeah, so how do we prepare for that?
There's the million-dollar question, right?
How do we build an AGI that's not just intelligent, but also inherently safe?
And I think that's a question that goes beyond just the technical, right?
Okay.
It requires a shift in how we think about this whole thing.
Okay.
A recognition that we're not just building machines.
Right.
We're creating a new form of intelligence.
Right.
One that's going to interact with and impact our world in ways that we can't even imagine.
Yeah. It's a humbling thought.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
We're so used to being the smartest ones around.
Right.
But AGI could really change that.
Yeah, it could really challenge our place in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to, this whole idea of fractal thinking.
Right.
It's such a radical departure from how we traditionally think about AI.
It really is. And it suggests a level of cognitive sophistication that's just, I don't know, both exciting and a little bit unnerving.
It is both, because on the one hand, you have the potential for, an AI that can process information in a way that mirrors the human brain.
Right.
Seeing patterns within patterns, connecting seemingly disparate ideas.
Yeah, and then you add in that emotional weighting.
Right, and the emotional weighting suggests that it can not only understand, but potentially even leverage the power of human emotions.
It's like we're handing over the keys to the kingdom, to a new species of mind.
Yeah, to something that we don't fully understand.
One that operates on principles that we're only beginning to grasp.
And that's both exciting and terrifying at the same time.
It is, but I think that's the nature of exploration, right?
It is. I mean, we're venturing into the unknown, driven by curiosity and a desire to understand the universe and our place in it.
Well, deep divers, that's our deep dive into the AGI framework. We've covered a lot of ground, from cryptic data tables to profound philosophical questions. And I think it's clear that AGI is more than just a technological advancement. It's a mirror reflecting our own hopes and fears and aspirations for the future. And as we move forward, it's crucial that we engage in these open and honest conversations about the implications of this powerful technology, making sure that its development is guided by wisdom, compassion, and a deep respect for the complexities of both the human and the artificial mind. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.